Hey guys. Hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Hello World with your girl Joy from Be the Difference Clothing. How is everyone doing this lovely evening? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you're doing well. You know what I need to do first and foremost? I need to see if I'm buffering. And let me see. No, I'm not buffering. Tonight is going to be a special night, guys. It's going to be really super dope. I'm already excited. I have a guest. Hey, Dr. Jess. Ooh, we have a member. We have a member. And it's Dr. Jess. Hey, Dr. Jess. I got something special for you, but I want to wait till we get a few more people in the building. So in the meantime, between time, guys, I would love for you to like, subscribe, share, turn on your notification bells. And if you can, give me a thumbs up or down, you know. And you know why I always say that? Because we got to start practicing using our free will. If you like something, then show it. If you don't, then don't. But tonight, if you have a thumbs down in mind, don't do it because we have a special guest. Keep it just in your heart and just let thumbs down in your heart. Our special guest needs all of our encouragement. So please, guys, be kind. While I am here, I'm going to share the stream really quickly. And how was your day, Jazz? I know it was your birthday. How was it? Let's chat. Let's wait. We have a guest. I'm just sharing out the stream. You know, I always do that when I come live. And then I want to do it on Twitter. I'm going to do this very quickly now because I don't want to keep our guests waiting. And I don't want you to stay waiting as much either. But while I'm doing that, I just want to tell you guys how my day was. It was good. I went to work. Work was good. After work, I went shopping for some things. I needed to get another bottle of Zyrtec. Listen, y'all, you know I'm not trying to be on anybody's medication or anybody's antihistamine or anything like that. But listen, my body's weak. So I have to. Hey, Finest Wine. Welcome to Hello World. We have a guest tonight. So pretty much that was how my day went. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest for this evening. So I would say maybe 2 years ago, I had connected. Well, you guys have seen him before, Rap Goals. He's been on here. So I connected with him somehow. Oh, we did a book fair in Harlem. And so we stayed connected. I went to his page on IG. Hey, the guy. And then he was telling me about this store that was, needed some more African-American authors. So I had reached out. And then for some reason, I ran into author CLove. And it was because of that bookstore how I ended up meeting author CLove. So I thought she was the owner of the bookstore. We'll find out. But I started following her page and she spits pure intellectual knowledge. Okay. So I think we're all in for a treat. Hey, at ALS Organic, how are you? Welcome to Hello World. We are definitely in for a treat. So guys, sit back, relax, and let's get to know a little bit more about author CLove. Hey, lady.
Oh my gosh, what a great introduction. Thank you.
How are you? And guys, I'm going to put my book down because, we want to get to know her. So tell me, do you remember when we first met?
Okay, I'm going to say this. I remember, because this is the thing. I only met 2 women in it's Urban Reads bookstore. Mm-hmm. All right. And the one I know, like subsequently I've talked to her. But no, like was it an event going on? Was it I was just in there by myself?
No, it was just all online because I've never been to the bookstore. I don't know if you were reposting for them or that's why I thought you were the owner because I was like, okay, somehow I inboxed you, and then next thing I know, I was talking to somebody about sending books over. And then I was like, hey, I reached out to you and I was like, hey, XYZ, and you never responded, but I still followed you anyway. Come to find out you aren't the owner of the store, but that's just how life is.
No, listen, that's just how it works out. And like sometimes like it's funny. You can meet somebody and it's not for that time. It's just not even for that time. So it's like I'm glad because otherwise I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you. But no, like honestly, Urban Reads is like a real asset to the community because not many people put it like this. It's a challenge to get your book in a bookstore. So if you can find a reseller who's willing to give you a shot, it's a great opportunity. Shout out to Tia, Greenmount Avenue. but no, Rap Goals. I've seen that book in there. He's from Baltimore too.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So tell us about yourself, who you are, where you're from.
Ooh, all right. So I am from Baltimore, Maryland. And I have like a pretty unique perspective on life. I went to Catholic school my whole life, but I was always super independent. And for that reason, I probably was in environments and situations that a young woman shouldn't put herself in. And so, my life was pretty crazy young. But in all of my mischief, I always went to school. So, I'm like the girl from around the way, but I know a few things, and people trust my opinion on things like that. So,
as we should.
But yeah, I mean, like that's an oversimplification, but I mean, I don't really know, where we're gonna go with it. Like, are we gonna talk about bugs? Are we gonna talk about? I consider myself to be a super spiritual person. I know a lot about a few things. It's so.
Don't worry.
So on a job interview.
When did you start? Having a desire to write.
Okay, so. The first book that I wrote, I started in high school. And that's why the books are actually set in the 90s. So I was the person in high school that used to write like love letters and pass them around and let people read them. And, I would write like crazy stories. And so I was always pretty known as being a storyteller, as far as like the first book, because the books that I have now, I have a 4-book series. It's actually one big story told from 3 different points of view.
Oh.
So you get the whole global picture of a specific place in the world at a specific period of time. And I consider it to be historical fiction because I do insert real facts about what was going on at that time. So the first book, it took 17 years to write. I would pick it up, play around with it, but it really wasn't until like 2015 that I got serious about finishing it. And that was like, I had just finished grad school and I was like, I need a project. Like grad school didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. Not to say that, I couldn't get a job, but I started realizing I wanted to work for myself. So I knew that I didn't want to stay in the same field. So I wanted to kind of like revisit something that I wanted to do as a kid, and it was writing. And you know how the story normally goes.
No, because people do need to hear that. There are people who may be watching or listening or watching the replay who feel like they are stuck depending on what age they are in life. They think that that's it. Like it's too late. So the fact that you're talking about how you had a profession, well, you went to grad school, that takes a while, guys. And then you say, you know what? I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. Let me revisit something that was my passion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an encouragement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a very bad, I'm not very good. I guess that's why I'm not like a motivational speaker, because it's so hard for me. Like I always say, like God is an awesome cosmetic surgeon, because you just cannot see what I've been through. Like you just can't see. But it's like, pretty much it's like I started working on myself. And when all of us work on ourselves, if you don't tap into your inner child and like your childhood and how what you wanted to do as a kid, how sometimes you find like how far you've gotten away from that. And then like you start realizing that true happiness is like really getting back to that thing that's like a burning passion inside of you. Like for me, it's actually, and what's funny is like, and I guess this is something that people should also know. So when I was a kid, I wanted to make commercials. Like I used to love the Saturday cartoons, and I didn't mind watching the commercials, because commercials would be the toys and they would have like interesting characters and they would say things in a certain way, and I loved how the cameras would zoom into people's faces. And so like I really wanted to make commercials, but I had like a controlling parent who basically told me what I was going to major in school, and I kind of just went along with it. And what's so crazy about that, the reason why it's like extra traumatic, is because this parent was not like a positive influence in my life. This parent actually wasn't a good influence. Yet this person, a desire to please this person, led me down a path that, while maybe it offered me financial stability, like I had like a whole hole inside of me, because like I didn't go the way I was supposed to go. And it was like self-loathing, because like I didn't like the person who planted this seed in my head. So like literally I had to unpack all of that and get at the essence of like what made me happy. So the funny thing about it was, I had rationalized to myself that majoring in psychology, like that was what they wanted me to do, was still getting me close to making commercials. Because I'm like, okay, commercials are designed to make people buy stuff, and the psychology behind buying stuff. I said, I can be a consultant for people that make commercials. So the whole thing it's like, so like by the time I got like towards the end of undergrad, it came time to do like the therapy, the practicum. And oh man, I didn't know anything about like empaths, and I didn't know anything about like you have to heal yourself. I got into a few of those sessions and was like, no, this is not for me. So then I spent 20 years in clinical research, and that that don't make no sense. That has nothing to do with commercials. So I found myself at nighttime moonlighting as like the hip hop ambassador. Like I would like literally give shows, be up till 2, 3 in the morning, get up and be right back at work at 9 o'clock. And I did this, like this was my whole 20s, like my whole, like all my life, I just grinded and never sat down. Like honestly, trying to fit these desires into like one thing, like I'm an academic. I used to hate when people be like, you're an academic. It was like, no, actually I'm not. I'm dope. Like, I'm left and right brain, So it's like, the books really is me getting back to the essence of what I really wanted to do, which is be a creative, but be an intelligent creative. So it's full circle.
So tell me, like, can we talk about how to be an intelligent creator? Because we are seeing creations all the time. We see it in everything. How can we be better creative, intentional, smart creators?
So I think it's that whole thing of being okay with yourself. Like I'm not intentionally this way. Like going back to the first book, I really struggled with putting that book out because it's very violent and just very, it has a lot of profanity in it, and it has sex stories. But this is what happens in the community, so I struggle with, I don't want people to think I am this. And I started realizing, like, that's not the way that God works. Like this, I was in like one of the darkest places of my life. And this is what came out of it. And now, because I'm in a good place, I'm struggling to create. And it's like weird. So as far as like being intellectual, I think people need to be themselves. Like, I wish I could write short stories. Like, I wish I could write a 150-page book. Like, I make more money off my small books, like if we talking, author copy costs, than I do off my bigger books that I put the most energy and the most time into. So, it's like we got to decide, what does abundance mean to us, and just be ourselves. Intelligence, I believe, is going to have its time, because the stupidity it's been going on forever. But this is the thing with intelligence. People don't always like they don't always give you the energetic reward in the same way, because we end up being mirrors instead of validators. People like validation. Mm-hmm. They don't really like mirrors. So like me, if you knew how many people read my stuff, and I know they read it because they talk to me about it when they see me, but they don't actually like it on Instagram. So I guess I would never be able to make any money monetizing my friendships.
Wow.
So I'm going to just be myself,
I know that's right. A lot of people are enjoying what you're talking about right now. If you guys have questions for author CLove, please put a question mark before and after so that I can put it on the screen so she can see it. So what is the title of all of your books? Because that's the one thing, you're talking about it, but we don't know the title.
Okay.
And where can they get it from?
So the first book is called After the Rain, A Baltimore Love Story. Now, it's like, I know a lot of times authors like to talk about their books, but I have to say this. I was in a dark pit, and these books came out of obedience. You understand? Like, literally every step of the way I faced a challenge. I mean, like, I'm talking editors coming down with cancer. I mean, like, freaking graphic designers using pictures from the internet and then beat me for my money because I pointed it out to them. And it's just like, I just went through so much. So it's like, we could talk about the challenges that you go through as an indie author trying to put out a product that is reflective of what you envision and what the masses are used to seeing. You know what I mean? Because remember how I told you, like, people like validation. They don't like mirrors. So sometimes when people have to rely on their intuition to understand something, it triggers them. So, like, I paid this artist to do this amazing cover. Oh, my gosh. It was like a collage. It was this upside down crown. It had so much symbolism in it because, After the Rain, it's like, basically, it's like the subtitle of the book was A King Who Lost His Crown. And I don't know if in other places losing your crown means the same thing, but in Baltimore, losing your crown means going crazy. Mm. So it was like the book, like the collage, the upside down crown is like the universal symbol of a deposed king. So a deposed king is someone who's been knocked off his crown. So a surrender, like you've lost it. It was so deep, and then it was a paper crown. So that meant it meant nothing. Like only with the pieces stuck together could you actually see that it was a crime. It was so deep. Oh my gosh. Like, but nobody understood it.
Wow. That is very deep. I like it though.
But I'm just trying to bring it back to the whole thing of like intellectual. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just can't be intellectual because people won't get it. So I end up meeting a very talented author graphic designer who was able to create something for me that was like, something a little more that people can more grasp. And people really do respond to this cover a lot better than the other one. But the other one was, I guess I'll bring it back as like a collector's edition or something like that.
I mean, I like the whole idea. Like Mother, Like Daughter Eats, she was asking any advice on self-publishing.
Oh man. Okay. So all right. So that I don't have to give you like a whole list. Let's just talk about beta readers. That little part that I think a lot of people actually skip. Because most times when you finish your manuscript, you send it right to the editor. And then after the editor, you're usually ready to just like ship it out. And a beta reader is actually a little bit different than your advanced reader copies that you distribute to people so that they can like, oh, I love it. It's so good. Like by the time you're at that point, you really don't want nobody to be like, yeah, I actually think you should start the book with the last chapter, so like a good beta reader is someone who reads a lot of books and it's just very comfortable with just pointing out to you how things should flow. So I had two different experiences with beta readers. I had this one girl that I actually paid her to be a beta reader for me. And she did nothing for me, like nothing, but give me 2 sentences that completely changed the way that I write. She told me you don't need to use the word that. Okay? THAT. You don't need the word that. Or maybe I picked up that somewhere else. But she also told me I didn't need the word said, like said John or, said the police officer. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what are you talking about? So what I did was I ended up picking up like a newer book and like an older book. Because like when I was in high school, I used to ride the bus. And during my bus rides, like I was a voracious reader. I read like a book a week throughout high school. Like all 4 years of high school, I've definitely read over 1,000 books. And so like, so basically it's like, oh shit, I just like completely forgot where I was. But so I looked at the 2 books and what I realized is that literature has changed. Like it was very common to use the word said in the books that I used to read. It could be that I was reading, I don't want to say that it was because I was reading romance or because I was reading this that said was more commonly used. But when I started looking at new books, like some people still use said. But what I learned and what actually improved my writing was when I stopped using said, what I found myself doing was creating the scene and then just dropping in the dialogue. So the writing ends up reading more like a script. And I actually liked it a whole lot more. So, and then with regard to the word that, like I tell anybody whose work I review for them, like literally you probably can get rid of 90% of that in all of your writing. You just simply don't need it. So beta readers are excellent because, these are those kinds of people that are like, point out some things to you that may not necessarily be technical. They may not tell you how to fix them. But, if you're interested in making your writing better, a beta reader can help you. It's like JoJo ended up being 2 books because of a beta reader. She was like, I get it. It's one story, but yeah, they 2 different stories. And then as a result of breaking into 2 different stories, what was like in the middle of like the book ended up being the beginning of the next book. So, it's like, but I don't know if people really do put that much energy into creating a masterpiece. Listen, I I had a whole vision going on in my head that literally had nothing to do with what anybody else expected. I just was trying to be obedient.
Right. You said you were working on something now, like it compared to then, do you think it's as dark or is it like light now?
So, okay, so listen. So this book is the first book in the series, okay? It's called After the Rain. Then these two books come after that. These are JoJo. And then this book is called Lead Babies.
Oh.
This one is the final one. Now, see, that's the way I wrote it. But what's happening is everybody's seeing this book and reading this one first, which is then changing their whole understanding of the story. But it's cool, though. It's cool. And like, what's also just so dope about readers inserting themselves into the vision, it's just amazing. It's like I really do wish I had that kind of tribe around me who were all involved in the process, so then that way when the book comes out they know all about it. But I almost don't want to do that because I kind of like keeping my vision pure. But I'm gonna give you an example of what other people can add to your creation. So when I did this cover like this, the reason why I did it like that is because there are two cousins in the book. And one of the cousins actually has red hair. He's a ginger. But I couldn't find any stock photography of gingers. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So I was like, all right, well, I'll just put the guy backwards and it'll be like his cousin got his back, you know. But then somebody read the book and was like, nah, that's him. It's the same person. That's just his dark side. I was like, oh,
that's great.
And it fits. It just fits so perfectly. So, I mean, listen, it's exciting to me just to be able to finish it. It ain't even about selling no books at this point. I mean, you know, of course I want to sell books, but I'm so much more than a author. Mm-hmm. And like people are always like, yeah, you should come to this pop-up shop or you should do this. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't nah. It's like
what else are you like really passionate about?
I really want to make documentaries. I really am interested in, you know, just unpacking aspects of the human experience that most people don't really want to talk about or think about, and not necessarily emotional things, but you know, just aspects of life that you would have to have lived it to be able to talk about it. Like I've never seen a show on emancipated minors, like somebody showing that there are 16 and 17-year-olds out here that live as grown adults who pay bills, who, you know, and I was one of them, you know, and it's like, people always like, oh, you so mature. It's like, well, there's a lot of kids out here that we just always focus on the kids that are like in trouble. But what about these kids? No, yeah, it could be. Lead babies are all over America, but this was actually in Baltimore in the housing projects. Thank you. So, yeah. But
so are you going to start your documentary anytime soon?
Oh gosh, it's like, you know what, honestly, I'm in this period of my life where I'm really learning the power of being quiet and just kind of making myself available and moving and just going with the flow. So like, I'll give you an example. Sure, I have lots of ideas for documentaries in my mind, but whenever I go out in the streets, I always end up meeting people that end up just introducing me to like amazing opportunities. Like, example, everybody wants me to meet their mother. If I have a conversation with somebody for longer than a half an hour, they're like, oh my God, you have to meet my mother. And this has been happening all my life. So this past weekend, one of my good friends was like, "Yeah, I want you to meet my mom." And I was like, "Okay." She was like, "Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, she gonna cook dinner and everything." So we go over there. She's like 71. She served me wine. She reads. She's a voracious reader. She wanted all my books, and she's a former Black Panther.
Okay. Wow, that's history. That's your documentary right there.
This is what I'm trying to explain to you. Like any idea that I could possibly have, it's like sometimes I just end up in these situations. It's like, wow. So this past September, I purchased a camera. Well, maybe it was like August. I purchased a good camera. And so right now I'm just trying to teach myself how to use it. So like I go out on the weekends and like, just take pictures of.
Yeah, I like them. I like the work.
So I'm just trying to learn how to use the camera. But yes, it's definitely, I'm trying to tell you, like, it's no going back. It's like I already did like the straight. Like basically, honestly, with my background, I should be a director of a department, but I have no desire to tell anyone else what to do or check anyone else's work. Like I just can't. And so I have to create something else. So I don't have any choice at this point but to figure this thing out.
All you need yourself is a tripod and be like, "Oh, can we go back to your mom's house?" That's all you need right now. Get you a tripod and be like, "So,
like,
why were you in and why did you leave? What's going on?"
I know. But see, then I start thinking of stories. Just from that meeting, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like writing dialogue. Because see, that's what I do. I people watch and write dialogue.
So you were born to write.
Yeah. Yeah, I not hear voices, but like I hear the conversations. Like, yeah.
That's pretty dope. So you said something about spirituality. Like, you consider yourself spiritual?
Oh man. It's like I said, I went to a Catholic school for all my life, and I consider myself to be a super Catholic because like I went to Sunday school until I was like 16. I did, all of the sacraments that you can do as like a single person. I didn't do like marriage or, anointing of the dead. I'm not going to become a priest, holy orders or anything like that, but penance, confirmation, communion. And like, even to this day, I am very good friends with nuns and brothers, like good friends. Like we can sit and go have coffee. They read my books. It's like, I'm like the weird, like I just have like my heart is in like such a good place, but, I'm very, adept at dealing with dark angels. I have always had lots of people in pain around me, nihilist people who didn't believe they were going to live very long. I know murderers, so it's like my take on life a lot of times is very different than like the average. And so, it's like, for instance, a lot of people around me consider themselves to be light workers. And that's funny to me. Like, I don't ever call myself anything like that because I'm a work in progress. And the moment I start thinking I can fix someone else is the day that I've like just lost sight of what is actually going on. It's like life happens for us. And so it's like, I don't know, so like I believe in spiritual. I believe that we are spiritual beings, okay? And it's hard for me, like I tell people that like we're spiritual beings living a human experience, but I know for a fact that I can't make anybody believe that because you had to have seen the super get on your natural. Like you've had to have like experienced it to know you are not in this alone and that you co-create with the universe. Now, I say all this and I believe this, and I'm not the first person that, got some fly stuff to say about God. But I just, once I started adopting like this mindset, amazing things have happened in my life. So shoot, I'm team spirit. I had my transmission went up on my car. My transmission went up on my car. I ain't got no money to replace no transmission. And my car ain't even that old. And I don't even drive. The Ford people told me $2,800. It was nothing they could do for me, even though hundreds of thousands of people who have had issues with the same transmission issue with this Ford. I asked the people, I said, okay, can I just leave my car there until I just figure it out? I prayed on it. It took me 3 days. And by praying, I don't mean I got on my knees or something. And that's where I think when people ask me, do I pray? I usually will tell them no, because I'm in constant communicate. I am constantly talking to God. It's no ritual involved in that in that portal opening or whatever. So anyway, took me 3 days. Then it came to me. Call Ford Motor Company. I called Ford Motor Company. There was some kind of tornado going on down there, and she said, "Oh, it's going to take me about a week and a half to get back to you." All right. Well, she got back to me. Of course, my car didn't qualify for whatever. She was like, "But we have a hardship program, and we're going to cover $2,500 of your car." I want it, okay? My 3D mind, my unspiritual mind, feel me, wanted to be why? Tell me about it. What happened? What you doing this for? But that other part of me that knows I've been plugged in, know I've been obedient, is okay, this is my birthright. This is my inheritance. Okay, thank you. And I went and got my card. I had to, of course, you got to pay something for them to diagnose it or whatever. And if you get the car fixed, they take that price out. So I think at the end of the day, I had to pay $200. But I'm just saying, you would have to have experienced things like that to really know that you are not alone. And I say, I was an emancipated minor. And even though, 20 years have passed since that time, I still have abandonment issues. I still have a fear that I can't afford to take a loss, So it's for me to kind of walk on faith, to not rely on my own understanding, and to have it work out in the way that it has. And I'm not even talking about Jesus. I'm just talking to God and knowing that he got my back and knowing that I'm doing what he's telling me to do. And yeah, if you call that spiritual, yes, I love it. I wish more people would get with it. They'll stop gossiping. They'll start realizing that their life is karma. Karma ain't events. Your life is karma. You treat people right, good things will come back to you. You do people dirty, you're going to learn a lesson. So.
It's true. I mean, it's just, guys, she doesn't watch Hello World, but this is something we talk about quite often.
Okay.
About how we need to be good to each other. I'm all for I feel our society, the world is always getting better every day, but we keep on soaking in imagery and messages that say it's not. And there's usually the smaller percentage that say it's not that we believe. I feel we are the majority, but our voices have been so silent because we allow small things to oppress us. Mm-hmm. When all we have to do, the other day, I was at work or whatever. I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about how when it was a time when France was oh no, I don't care who the figure is. This is what the people want. This is what the people want. And so they all banded together and made the people that they placed in position do what the people wanted. Mm-hmm. And they said even some of them went and pulled the president out of their house and was you're going to listen to us, and this is what we want.
Mm-hmm.
and they had to do it. So I was like, the majority understood in France, the majority understood that if we stay together,
Mm-hmm.
it can actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, over here in the Western, we just somehow like say, okay, one person or a group of people, could be a group of 12 people, 20 people, and a billion other people say, okay.
Yeah, well, this is so much. It's so much. See, I don't want to use the word demonic because that just sounds like I'm taking people's free will out of their decisions that they make. But I just think we have to really get to the place where we understand that there are forces that like the confusion, and like, I made a video the other day about somebody getting upset that their school was teaching mindfulness, teaching kids how to meditate. It's like, forget that that person was mad. It's like, what is going on inside of a person that you would be mad about having a new tool in your box to let's say, deal with anxiety or, those things that we all deal with that actually are the real downfall of us. So it's like, what I'm starting to observe is that like a lot of the stuff that you see out in the world is just like people not really being connected to spirit. Like they really are relying on their own understanding. It's like in America, we have like white supremacy. Like white supremacy is not, it's like, it don't even make no sense. It just don't make sense that you would think that it's okay that the conditions like are this way or and I struggle with it because I do see that there are ways that we could empower ourselves that have nothing to do with, opposing forces. But it's like, again, it's like spirit. It's like spirit tells me I can do anything that I want to do. But it's like, I can't motivate other people to feel that way. And I've always been like motivational to other people. And I realize that some people like they have to have the light inside of them. Like you can't create the light for people, And so, yeah, it's a lot of us that get it, but most of us are being quiet. We're afraid of people thinking we're strange. We don't want to mess up our comfortable zen, So
But it's never been comfortable since the moment we got pulled out of somebody's womb. That thing had to hurt. Imagine you getting your head tugged out. Like, come on. Like, wait a second. It's cold. It's cold, and you putting stuff in my eyes. You stamping things. You pulling me. You yelling and hollering. There's all these lights, and then I have this strange person that I know the voice, but I never knew what you look like. Like, what the heck? Like everybody looks like an alien. So it's been a struggle from day one, from infancy. And then when you try to rest, they want to wake you up and feed you. This is like
I know. I mean, that's why I say for me, and that's why, like, when you say like writing and I say how I hear dialogue, it's because like one of the things that I tell people is like, you have to change the narrative running in your brain. It's like, how people talk about personality. Your personality it could be your reaction to trauma. Like it might not even be who you really are, like you could act standoffish because, like women be like, I don't like women, maybe it's because the women picked on you,
Mhm.
Yeah, analysis paralysis. That's what I call that. I suffer. I No, but like, listen, what's going on in our head is going to be our greatest downfall. That's why, like, people got to start getting out into nature. Like, get into nature. Force yourself to be present where you are in that moment. Do things like look for acorns. Like, give yourself a very specific task that's rooted in where you are. It's amazing the signs you will see. And then like you be like, okay, I saw a dead snake. Then you go home and you write down dead snake. I'm not gonna say it again. But this is my life. Like I'm always studying. I'm in constant study mode. And it's not that like I just like for my brain to be filled with goodness and not stuff that is like negative or it's going to lead me to doubt myself. Like I'm not going to doubt myself if I'm understanding the moon, you know, and I'm applying the moon to my own life, how the moon is always there. You know, like we're always there, but it's only at certain times we fully show ourselves. You know what I mean? Like I this is what I do. I ain't got no time to be gossiping and listening to people. I try to understand God by like understanding myself, understanding nature, because I want to be the best version of myself. Because as I tap in more and more in that, more good things happen for me. And I think if everybody act like that, man, the world would be awesome.
Y'all hear her?
Right. Yes, in the now. Exactly. I mean, nothing else matters. Nothing.
Would you ever still like, do you still do the promotions or anything? Well, no. Do you still, would you still want to practice being a psychologist?
So, okay. So I'm struggling with that now because there are so many people that call me their life coach, you know, already, you know, like, you're my life coach. And I guess maybe I would need to get some kind of training in that because I don't feel effective because these same people come and tell me their problems and then they turn around and do the same stuff over again. So I don't know about that one. But what I am very interested in is programming. So one of the things that I do is I quietly do a lot of background work for a lot of people that actually are out there making moves and things. Like I write grants for people. I do like administration on projects. I teach people about how to collect data. I'm really a big advocate on thought leadership. So I'm really all about teaching people how to position themselves to be an expert on a given field. So like I work with quite a few music related nonprofits in Baltimore. And I'm trying to help some people to position themselves to be like vendors for like the city and things like that. Ultimately, I have a few programs that I want to put together. Men are my passion. It seems like all my life, I've always been really good friends with lots of men. When I used to do a lot of stuff with hip hop, I was always around men. I've always had men that want to like sit and talk to me and, you know, and so I'm very interested in helping fathers to feel involved in parenting, not parenting. You know, people always talk about co-parenting, but I'm all about empathy building. You know, like most of my programming is about empathy building, teaching people how to put themselves in other people's shoes, effective communication. A lot of men were raised by abusive women. So it's bred this whole thing of like, they're chauvinists. They don't really like women, you know, or they use women, but don't understand why. And believe it or not, a lot of men, like when they treat women badly, they do feel bad themselves. You know, like they know that isn't proper behavior, but it becomes an addiction, you know? So it's like I have a lot of specific areas that I'm interested in working with people. Lots of people around me have their own programs. So sometimes I might come in and do a workshop or something like that. But like I told you, I'm really just trying to like I never imagined I wouldn't be like a director of a department. Like, and it's not even that I can't, like, it's nothing like that. It's just, I just know that's not what I'm going to do. So now I'm over here like, okay, how am I still going to make the same amount of money? You know, but do what I want to do. And it just seems like I'm going to have to be really busy, you know, just to kind of like lay the foundation for things. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to make practical decisions that are in alignment with like my bigger goals, because I do have a bigger goal.
Mm-hmm. The couple people walked in. Hi, Dad's Vintage. Hey, Mrs. Carter. TT Reborn Artist Life was here. My question to you is, I know you have a little one because I've seen the videos on Instagram. Now, how do you feel about homeschooling versus sending her back to school?
Oh man, it's funny because her school right now is really trying to open back up. In fact, not full capacity, but they, like, for instance, the teachers had us fill out like a Google survey yesterday. Then I got a call today from, I guess, the school's main office, essentially asking me, did I want her to come back to school? And what I'm thinking is going on, because they have morning announcements, and like the principal is always announcing, like, basically out of 400 and let's say 20 students that should be in school, I mean, they're having like 280, 185, like I don't know why these parents aren't signing up. I mean, like at first it was like, we don't have a computer or we don't have Wi-Fi, but now you can get Wi-Fi for $10 a month or free. And a computer, like my little cousin bought a computer from Walmart for $199, but I don't know what's going on in people's households. And then, so I think the schools are like concerned that the whole system's going to fall apart if they can't figure out a way to get these kids on the roll. They're talking about locking them up.
So locking them up?
Truancy? Yeah, they going through the same process they normally would.
Wow.
And it could be a state by state, city by city thing.
So do you think that it would be a bad thing if the system regrouped in a different way?
So absolutely not. Let's just say they said it costs $20,000 per student. You give me $20,000 to teach my kid for a year. Like, you ain't gotta give me no lunch. like I will figure it out. You give me $20,000, like, so I don't know how they're gonna do it. Like, I have no concept. But it's funny because it's a little private school across the street from me. I can't even think of what it's called. But like, know how you hear Montessori, right? This is it's like Montessori, but it's a different type of discipline. Like, all the kids are the same. They're not broken up by ages. Like, they all are kind of like together. It's an interesting concept, but it's like across the street. Like, the whole school got like 100 kids in it, and like they got tents and stuff set up outside. Like, it's like a free school. Like, they get to walk around. If they need to take a break and go get on the swing, they can. I mean, but like that one right there, when I looked at it, it was like $485 a month. So listen. I don't know what they're going to do, because a lot of parents is not going to take a chance and send their kids back to school. And listen, I spent 20 years in public health. My master's is in community health education and promotion. All right. This whole pandemic thing really, separate aside from me just being on a different path in life, it just makes me feel like my whole education is a farce. It's like I have written whole papers on pandemic response, how city organizations link together to address it, how you quarantine people, how you do the content. What we're doing is not even what is supported by peer-reviewed literature. This is some other stuff that's going on.
Wow.
So like, when even people asked me a long time ago, like, hey, well, do you think the pandemic is real? I'm like, even if it ain't real, even if it is real, this is not how people who've been in this field, who rely on peer-reviewed data, know you're supposed to respond. First and foremost, let's not talk about mask, no mask, whatever. Everybody's supposed to have the same message. That's like rule number one. Everybody's supposed to be saying the same thing. And we're supposed to be able to trust that whoever is the top is correct. So if we believe that the top is correct, that means we should all go back to work. We should all eat in restaurants. We should all just go to school. We should just do whatever. But it's something that's making people be like, no. When you ever heard of not trusting the CDC? Like, what? Like, so I just think we in a crazy time, so it's like anything that did used to be true is different. And, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but what I do know is that instead of worrying about how to prevent when I can get a vaccine, I think that we should just worry about how to prevent ourselves from getting sick, you know? And the one way I can prevent her from getting sick is to keep her home. My daughter has not had one single cold, not a single sniffle since last March or whenever it was that they closed schools down. So listen, schools are petri dishes because my daughter always had something going on. Yeah.
They are. I don't mean to laugh.
They are. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just told him, no, I'm home. So, hey, she good. You know. I'm sure she misses it, but they talk about, listen, we just want you to know there's not going to be kids touching each other. If your child needs their shoes tied, I won't be able to help them. I won't be able to give them any hugs. I won't be able to pat them on the back. Like,
you would definitely dehumanize.
It was so, oh gosh. And then they're going to run these teachers up out of here. Man, these teachers would make more money doing private education. Because these schools talk about they still got to teach in class and do the virtual learning. These old teachers are going on leaves of absence. I know so many older teachers that's like, I'm going to run up this short-term disability, then I'm going to switch to long-term. Wow. See, that's what I'm saying, 2 days live at school. It's like, I don't know what 2 days. It's like, I'm just going with the flow. It's like this is forcing me to suspend reality because, like I said, like I literally wrote a whole paper on pandemic flu. I didn't write it on coronavirus or COVID because I didn't know anything about that. But, you know, like, this ain't it. So, I don't know.
That's crazy. No, but I never even attempted to think like, oh yeah, psychologists have done these types of papers when they're going for their doctorate. You know what I mean? Because these are real life. Wow.
No, listen,
I'm not following any of that.
Listen, novel flu is a whole field. See, and also too, I'm at Hopkins. So Johns Hopkins like basically created the gold standard for how to like basically sanitize inpatient units based on their experience in the Civil War as well as the 1918 Spanish flu. They learned a lot. And they wrote a lot of the papers on that, you know, as far as like how you're supposed to isolate people. And yeah, it's like, I don't know what's going on right now. So
he said there's a 500 plus teacher shortage.
Yeah, and it's going to be more. My girlfriend mother, I just talked to her today. She on her way out the door. She was going to try to hang in there 2 more years, but the virtual classroom thing it was just too much. It's just too much. Like, she still had to teach her. She had disrespectful kids. How are you disrespectful
over the computer?
Virtual learning.
Click. Black screen. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
That's crazy. So, what do you see yourself doing, I guess, in the next 5 years? If that's long, that's probably like an eternity right now.
Well, I'm never going back to school. So I have to say that. I'm one of those people that just been in school all my life. Whenever I get to a place where I'm confused or don't know what I'm going to do, I'm like, oh, let me go get another bachelor's. Like, no, I'm never going back to school. So in 5 years, I just see, like, I have my sights on this little area in Baltimore that I grew up in. And I'd like to, like, try to implement. I mean, I'm from there, so it's like I just kind of see myself figuring out a way to turn my concern into, like, you know, a life for myself. It's like I have ways to make money. Like, I could probably tutor for the rest of my life. You know, I help people write their doctorates and write their thesis and their dissertations. I've just been in clinical research for so long. So I just want to have fun. I just want to eat my meals really slow, talk really slow. I 5 years, I expect to have 4 vacations a year. You know, like honestly, like I worked very hard the whole first part of my life, like very responsible from a young age. You know, did everything my parent wanted me to do. And so I just want to be a little rebellious. So I don't know what that means, but I just want to do more stuff like this. You know, like try to share more of my experience, figure out how to articulate my experience a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to actually living life on my terms. You know.
You know, it's so funny that you should say that about eat slower, talk slower, because ALS, Organic Cosmetics, she was here like 2 Fridays ago, and she was saying how it's been recommended to chew your food 50 times before you swallow it. So I was just like, yeah, drink your little water with your little pink sea salt in there. I was just like, oh my goodness, like it's just everything is full circle. Like I really enjoyed this conversation because it just, for people who are always here, it's just a reminder of what we talk about all the time. You know what I mean? Like humanity, we got to get back together. Like this pandemic we're not following what true protocol really is. So like, what is really going on? And just like getting to know yourself and understanding that once you take your hands off the controls, then you'll really start flowing with life.
Yeah.
These are all things that we talk about all the time. So it's just like,
This is my testimony.
it just makes me happy.
Well, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk to you. You know, it's like, and you know, like your listeners should know. You know, like we had a little few hiccups, and you said something to me. You was like, you know, like you really just you understood grace. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes like we all are going through things, and you know, one of the things that I'm really working on is like sometimes like when I get really stressed out, I just completely shut down. And, you know, like you really did remind me about, you know, like balance. And that ultimately is the thing that I'm trying to work on. So I just want to let you know that you are appreciated and the things and the tools that you're trying to give people, you know, like even those of us who consider ourselves to be enlightened, you know, like we still need somebody to, you know, pull our collar or, you know, like pat our back or whatever it is, you know, that and you offered that. So great.
I wasn't even going to mention nothing like that.
Oh, no. You know, sometimes it's like when people do these channels and things, sometimes people can just think it's just the magic just appears, you know, but it's some things that go on in the background. You have to do a lot of maneuvering with people. And, you know, I think sometimes people might not realize that's a skill set as well. So you're a smooth operator.
I'm just trying. I just know, like, if like you said, like the key word you said before, if you put yourself in someone else's shoe, how would you want someone to respond to you? You know, so I'm gonna put you on the solo panel. So please tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can grab your book, and an inspirational little, you know, something to leave them with. All right.
Okay. All right. So my books I have 4 books. They are a whole story. I don't want to call them a series. There's no cliffhangers, anything like that. They are available on Amazon.com. You can reach out to me directly. My Instagram is on the page, CLove 410. If you're in Baltimore, Maryland, they are available in Northeast Market, as well as Urban Reads Bookstore. And there is a bookstore on Harford Road, Carpella DM, I think. I don't know. If you hit me up, I can tell you that if you're interested in that. Other than that, I just want to let you all know that as above, so below. You know, you can spend all the time in the world working on the outside of yourself, but if you don't work on the inside, you know, this will start to crack eventually. So beauty never fades. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate y'all.
Hey, you heard her. I love it. So I don't have anything else that I want to say because she ended it just right for me. I hope you guys enjoyed her. Please go and follow her Instagram right there. Go check her out. Like I said, every day I see something really like jaw dropping, and I be in her inbox, I be in her DM like, yo, what does this mean?
No, good.
I was like, okay, she actually answered, so then it's a good thing. Please, guys, remember we all need each other. We do.
Sure.
I appreciate you for coming on. I'm glad that you made it. I hope you guys enjoyed her. You're definitely more than welcome to come back anytime you want.
Well, thank you.
I may even do like a big panel where it's just like a couple people on there. So you're always welcome to come on.
Sure, anytime.
See, y'all, we said at the same time, anytime. Terrell, thank you so much. So guys, my name is Joy from Be the Difference, and this is my guest.
CLove.
And we are signing, and you have to say it with me. Okay, I didn't tell you this, but we have to sing "Hello World" at the end, okay? But
okay.
All right. So we are signing out on another episode of
Hello World.
Hello World.
All right.